Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes, and welcome to night number 65 of the Overnight Feed recaps for Big Brother Season 27. It's Eviction Day. Yes, indeed. We tonight will be losing either Ashley or Will or Keanu. One of them is going to be the second jury member. They're going to be joining Rachel in the jury house. We'll see what happens. Right now, it is still looking like if Keanu does not win the blockbuster, then he almost certainly is going home. Now, he's tried to argue that's not the best path for some people to take, but I think Keanu will be going home if he doesn't win the blockbuster. If he does, Ashley versus Will, I had said yesterday it looked like Ashley would be going home at that point. Things have changed a little bit. It's now looking like Will probably will be heading out the door, and Ashley is going to be safe no matter what. And she's starting to recognize that, which is rubbing some people the wrong way. We're going to talk about all of that as we get into it. First of all, a little bit, let's talk about the episode yesterday. We got to see BB Comics, always one of my favorites. It's so cool. I've got a BB Comics of myself, the Groundhog. I remember that competition so well. Now, when we did, there were only five competing because we're a little bit later in the season. But I remember doing the competition. Didn't have any problem going up and down the ladder. Zip line was so much fun. I had a blast doing that. My worst part was just having to run between where the zip line was. We had to run around the corner to get to where all the comics were. And that was the toughest part, just running back and forth. But such an iconic competition. I loved watching them compete as well. So there you have it. We'll talk about all the different BB comics in a different episode, perhaps. But y'all put in the comments which ones did y'all like, which ones did y'all not like. It's always interesting to see what the writers, producers are going to focus on when they do those comics. But we had the BB comics. We saw Morgan win. We knew that it was going to happen. Morgan won, pulled herself off. Keanu goes up on the block, and maybe he's going home this evening. All right. So we talked about that. Keanu probably, if not, then it seems like Will. And the reason being, it seems pretty certain that Ava and Kelly are both voting to save Will. Ava because she likes Will, Kelly because she does not like Ashley, and so she wants to make sure that Ashley goes home. So Ava and Kelly both voting to save Will this evening. Ashley has convinced Morgan that she can win the competitions, some comps, and help Morgan a lot more than Will can. And that combined with the fact that Morgan thinks that Ashley would be a bigger block sitter if it came down to it. And the fact that Will would probably win against any one of them in terms of votes from a social game. Because of all that, Ashley has convinced Morgan that it's better to keep Ashley than it is Will. Keanu thinks that a Lauren HOH would be more of a failure if it ended up with Will being sent home. One, that he's not a big threat. Two, that Lauren ends up sending home someone that everyone likes. Keanu's goal is to make Lauren's HOH as unsuccessful as possible. So the end result of all of that is that you've got Ava and Kelly both voting to save Will. You've got Keanu and Morgan both voting to save Ashley. And as a result, we basically have Will as the swing vote, and so we're going to talk about that. So yeah, it leaves Vince as a swing vote. I'd said yesterday that Vince had told Morgan how much he likes Will, and he probably couldn't vote Will out, but he's already now worried about Morgan being upset with him over Lauren, and as a result, it seems like he's much more willing to vote however she wants, which means sending Will out the door. So yeah, Vince. What a surprise that Vince flipped on what he was wanting to do. But yeah, originally Vince was going to save Will. Now with a little pressure from Morgan, it's looking like it's just the opposite, which means Will could be going home if Keanu wins the blockbuster, which we kind of expect to happen, but expect the unexpected. So let's pick up the feeds themselves late afternoon, maybe a little right before the TV episode aired. But we'll talk about that. We've got Vince and Keanu talking. Keanu is worried that Kelly might nominate Keanu if she wins HOH on Thursday. Keanu and Kelly not doing well with each other right now. They were so close just a few days ago, it seems like. Not so much. Keanu's worried that Kelly could put him up if she was to win HOH. Vince is not happy with Kelly. He's saying Kelly's a liar. And yeah, she could potentially vote you out, Keanu. come Thursday, come later, the next round as well. Certainly there's a possibility she could vote you out. Y'all just aren't doing well right now. Lots of talk about past season competitions, what could be coming up for the blockbuster, for the HOH. Just a lot of the talk that we've gotten used to. They're waiting for Zingbot. They're talking about what Zingbots could be. I do think it's funny. Vince at one point was trying to remember. He said, yeah, last season Zingbot said something about Mackenzie being very boring. He said, I can picture Lauren getting zinged of Zingbot basically saying, I can't believe we cast the same person twice. So yeah, get to it, Vince. Come up with some zings, but they are waiting for Zingbot. That could happen next week. I could see that. All right. We've got Will and Ava talking. Will is telling Ava that there is a good chance of that he's going to get voted out this evening. Apparently, Vince had talked to him a little bit earlier that there's a possibility that Will's going home. And I think what Vince had said was, look, Will, I like you so much, but you would beat any of us in a final two, any of us sitting next to you. You're too well liked, you're too popular, and that's why I've got to send you home when I do. So Will already knew, apparently from Vince and from some other sources, apparently, that there's a possibility of him going out the door. He's telling Ava this. And he tells Ava, he told Vince that just let me know what the plan is by tonight if possible, which was last night. I didn't see it happening, but he says basically just let me know the plan so I'm not blindsided. But if it happens, it happens. Ava's crying later in the day about it. I think Ashley came in. Ava said, it's just my sinuses. Now, she has said several times she is okay if Will goes. She'll accept it either way. She doesn't want him to go. She's feeling bad about him going home. And now Will has informed her that, yeah, there is a good chance it could happen. Later, Morgan comes in. She's talking to Will about the same thing but she's quick to say, now, look, that's only if it's you versus Ashley, and it's nothing personal. But if you versus Ashley, it does look that the votes may send you out the door. She says, hopefully Keanu does not win Blockbuster. If that's the case, obviously Will goes home against you or Ashley. So, just win that Blockbuster, Will. So she's mentioning that. Will is telling her that he won't take it personal. I get it. Will's a stand-up guy, and he's willing to say what he's feeling from the heart. From a strategy standpoint, Will probably needs to be saying just the opposite of, hey, if you have to do it, you have to do it. And I get why you're doing it. But at the same time, Morgan, I am going to remember who voted to send me out the door when it comes time to vote with the jury on that final two. It's always worth making those little mentions, whether you mean it or not. But Will saying, yeah, I get it. It's nothing personal. It's just a game. It's fine. Yeah, be a little more forceful about that, Will. All right, we've got Will and Kelly talking as well. Kelly is saying, yeah, I understand that things may not be going your way, Will, but you got my vote state no matter what. I am not voting to keep Ashley. I'm not voting to keep Keanu either. She's saying, you have my vote no matter what, Will. May not make a difference, but Kelly declaring her loyalty here. All right, we've got Morgan and Ashley talking. Apparently, and this is going back to Will and Morgan had talked the night before, said, look, you need to tell Will what's going on. No one wants to see him blindsided. Well, apparently, before Vince had a chance to talk to Will about him going, Vince had told Lauren what was going to happen. Lauren then told Ava. Ava then told Will. And so the tea got spilled before Vince had a chance to go in and be the first to tell Will about it. He's a little frustrated about that. Later, Morgan is talking to Vince about it. She points out that Lauren took what Vince had said about it, about keeping Ashley and voting out Will, and she told Ava. And so, yeah, in other words, yeah, I know you're close with Lauren, but she's spreading info that you're telling her. So don't assume anything is too confidential. She already told it, and now Will knows about it, and that's not great. Morgan is warning Vince about giving any info to Lauren going forward. He's asking if Morgan, or she's saying, am I leaving going to be the only way that you realize the game that Lauren is playing, that maybe she's playing you a little bit, Vince? Because she says, I keep telling you and you don't understand, you don't realize it. I guess when I head out the door, maybe then you'll realize it. So she certainly is cautioning Vince as much as she can. All right, we've got Lauren and Kelly talking to each other. Kelly is hoping that the Blockbuster comp could be something that's designed specifically for Will. I'm not sure what that could actually be. Military questions, the 80s trivia. I don't know, but she said hopefully it's something that's designed specifically to help Will out a little bit. There are some comps. We know that Will he injured his knee a little bit. There are some things that he won't do well, but there's certainly other comps that he could do perfectly well. So we'll see what Julie Chen's teaser is a little bit later about the blockbuster. But yeah, Kelly's hoping it's something that Will be able to excel with. But she's also worried that Will maybe has checked out a little bit already, that he's ready for the jury house, that maybe he's just tired of competing at all. I have a feeling once we get to tonight, he'll put it in gear and we'll see what happens. Kelly is saying that Keanu had told Vince that Lauren has to go on the block if Vince wins HOH. In other words, that Keanu's telling Vince, you've got to, Vince, put up Lauren. I know you've got your connections, but you've got to put up Lauren if you win HOH. And Lauren saying, yeah, man, I'm not surprised at all that Keanu would tell Vince that. All right, Keanu still with the plan. Still, he's going to fight to the very end, and respect to Keanu for doing so. Keanu is talking to Ashley and Vince and saying, look, the three of us plus Morgan, we've got the numbers to take over the house. We could go to the end. We could easily, if we just come together, we could make this happen. So why don't we do so? Ashley says she's good with it. She's like, I'm perfectly fine going to the end with you three. She's telling Vince that he needs to convince Morgan that he needs to talk to her and make sure this happens. And Keanu keeps saying, yeah, I don't know why Morgan wouldn't be for it, but she keeps not even giving me a commitment that she would vote to save me. She just obviously not as on board as I'd like. So yeah, talk to her. Let's make this happen. Don't know that's going to happen, but we'll see. All right, we've got Vince and Morgan and Keanu talking a little bit. They're all irritated with Kelly. This is throw Kelly under the bus day for a whole lot of people. They're upset with her. They're irritated about some of the things that she's been saying. I don't know how many times the word planting seeds was used, but irritated with Kelly. Such as saying that Keanu plans to put up Morgan, Vince, and Lauren if he's HOH, which he did say just 24 hours ago to Kelly, but yeah, he's denying that. And something about that Vince had told Keanu that Kelly was going to put up Keanu if she got HOH. Just a lot of things being spread around here. Vince is thinking that and telling Keanu, saying, because Keanu saying it doesn't make sense. She lies all the time. I get it, but normally there's logic behind it. And I don't get what the logic is now with some of this. And Vince is saying, I think it's Kelly trying to get closer to Lauren in case you go home tonight. And Keanu's response, of course, is, well, she knows I'm not going home. I'm not going home tonight. So why would she even prepare for that? Yeah, you never know, Keanu. All right, Keanu is saying that if it comes down to it, going forward, he says, we've got to put up Kelly and Lauren and Ava. They're so tight. They're upstairs right now. We've got to put those three up on the block. Morgan agrees. Vince is saying that he is okay, that he's fine with that as well. And if it means Lauren going home, he's okay with that as well. Yeah, sure you are, Vince. I get why you're saying it in front of these two, especially saying it in front of Morgan. Keep on keeping up that facade, Vince. But yeah, we know what you think about that. But yeah, he's saying, yeah, I'm fine. Put those three up, and if it's Lauren that has to go home, then so be it. All right, we had dinner. Morgan cooked for everyone. She said something about cooking being her love language as well. How long ago was it we heard like references to cooking your way to the top and Rachel and Mickey cooking and all that? Well, now with them gone, Morgan is taking over some of the cooking duties. So she cooked dinner for everyone last night. All right, back to game talk. We've got Vince talking to Lauren and complaining, not this time about Kelly, this time about Ashley. He's complaining to Lauren about Ashley spreading lies, saying that Kelly had said Ashley had been talking bad about Vince. And also, and this is what really irritates Vince, that apparently Ashley's been going around saying that Vince and Morgan look like a showmance, which is not what he wants to have portrayed out there. And certainly he's going to complain about that when talking to Lauren. He's saying, yeah, Ashley's saying Morgan and I look like a showmance. You know that's not the case. Lauren didn't have a whole lot to say about that. But yeah, he's complaining about some of the things Ashley's been saying. Vince is upset with a lot of people talking about a lot of different things today. All right, Keanu having it out with Kelly, calling her out a little bit about her spreading different stories. He's saying, this thing, that I would put up Lauren and Morgan and Vince, and all these things that you're telling different people, and she's trying to say she didn't say it and all at one point, and he's saying, why would you say that? Well, just why would you say that? How does that benefit you or me? I just don't understand why you're doing it. And he says something to her about, I know you like to say a lot of different things, but you got to think this stuff through, Kelly. So he is really not happy with Kelly at this point. The suspicion between these two just continues to grow. All right, we've got Ashley and Will talking. Ashley is saying that Morgan said she is done with Vince if Vince wins HOH and doesn't put up Lauren at that point in time. We heard that the night before, that Morgan's basically not feeling like Vince supported her very well while she's on the block. And now she wants to make sure, see what happens when Lauren goes up, see if he doesn't treat her the same way he treated Morgan. So, yeah, according to Ashley, if Vince wins HOH and doesn't go on the block, doesn't put Lauren on the block, then Morgan's just through with him at that point. Will hearing this from Ashley, and Will saying, well, for that reason alone, I think Vince is probably going to want to avoid winning HOH on Thursday night. And Will is probably correct on that. That would put Vince in a very precarious position. Give him safety, but still put him in a precarious position. All right, Ashley's telling Will that if he does go home this week, to please tell Rachel once he gets to the jury house to keep her job as an attorney, as a lawyer, a secret, because that may be something that she'll be able to use in a final two speech if she makes it there. I didn't realize that Ashley had apparently told Rachel, and it sounds like had already told Will also, that she is an attorney. I didn't think that she told everything, but based on this little clip of the conversation, sounds like they're aware of it. So she's saying, please don't say anything because I'll use that at the end if I get there. I don't want them to know I'm an attorney and spoil the surprise, so to speak. All right, Vince is griping to Morgan about his position in the game. He just feels like everyone's going to be targeting him. He's just not happy with the way things have turned out. Morgan is giving him a pep talk saying, look, we're going to make it through. We're going to make it to the end. We just have to stick together and make this work. She mentions that in addition to her, Vince also has Ashley on their side, not Lauren, Ashley. Yeah, you've got me and Ashley. That's all you need, Vince. We'll make sure we can make it to the end with the three of us. They're talking about Ashley saying that they look like a showmance, and Vince is still irritated with that. Morgan is saying, look, I don't think Ashley said that. I trust you, consider the source. Kelly is saying this and everything. She's saying, I don't think Ashley actually said that, because if she did, she would have told me directly, and I haven't heard anything like that from Ashley. So I don't think she said it, Vince. Vince is still irritated about that. All right, Vince and Morgan, and then later Ava, and then later Ashley are all talking. They're just talking about what could happen this week, the possibility of a double eviction this week. All right, the schedule tonight is only for 1 hour. It's not a 2-hour episode, so I do not think we're getting a double eviction. Next Wednesday and next Thursday are both 2-hour episodes, so if there was to be a double, I think we're 1 week removed from having that happen. Now, who knows what happens tonight with the month of mayhem and all of that. We may still have 2 people go home, maybe, somehow, but it doesn't look like it would be a double eviction. But of course, they don't know that. Then they're wondering about the possibility of a double eviction. They're talking about different scenarios of what could happen this week. They figure it won't be the same as last week, but still all kinds of who knows? Who knows from a viewer or a house guest? We don't know what's going to happen based on what happened last Thursday, but they're talking about all the different kinds of scenarios that could take place. Ava not happy with the season. Ava complaining about this season. She's saying, look, 3 nominations each week. She says, this is bad. I want to go back to classic Big Brother with 2 nominations. I want that. I don't want this stuff. It's like she had a lot of curse words that I won't repeat, but she's just not happy at the season that they have gotten this year, feeling like it's much tougher. And Vince says some of the same things. Oh, this season is so much harder than others. Every season has its good and bads, but they're feeling like very much more difficult with having to make 3 noms and potentially 4 every week. And I do agree that leads to putting a lot more blood on your hands. It also leads to fewer people making big moves, and it's been a weird season. Ava does know the Janky song. I was happy to hear that. She sang just a little bit of it. She says that she would certainly prefer Janky over the mastermind who just shows up and kills you. That Janky doesn't sound so bad right now. I'm ready for Janky to make a comeback. All right, she's calling Big Brother this season, saying it's just like Squid Games or Beast Games. Yeah, it's all about the challenges. It's not about the social. It's all about winning the comps and all of that. So Ava not feeling good. Talk turns to the blockbuster competition and the vote tonight. Ava is saying again that if Will goes home, I'm accepting it. At this point, I'll accept that he may go home and I'll live with it and I'll move on. All right, Kelly and Lauren are having another sleepover. I heard at one point, I think it's Vince who had said Lauren was scared to sleep by herself out of fear that the mastermind would show up on the TV screen and make Conti or whatever. Uh, but apparently, Kelly and Lauren having another sleepover. Kelly certainly trying to stay as close to Lauren as possible at this point in time. They're talking about the possibility, the opportunity, the desire to take Ava to the final three. So as we see, Kelly and Lauren and Ava very tight with each other. And they're saying, if we take Ava to the final three, do we have a chance to beat her when it comes to jury and all of that? And they're both thinking that, yeah, they think they've got the opportunity. They've got enough that they could do to argue to beat Ava. So good for Ava in that as long as they think that, they're much more likely to take her forward. It does make me think Lauren, Kelly, or Ava, any one of those three, if they get to choose which of the other two they take with them, who it would be. And I need to think that thing through. There could be some tough decisions on that. All right, we've got Vince and Morgan talking. Vince is thinking that Ashley is very confident about having the votes to stay this evening. That she thinks that she'll stay certainly versus Keanu, but she also is now thinking that she'll stay over Will based on everything she has heard today. So she's feeling very confident. Vince is saying because of that, because she's so confident, she may not try that hard to win the blockbuster. She may be loafing just a little bit. And if that's the case, then Keanu's going to win this thing. And Keanu is not going to be going home. It's going to be Ashley versus Will. But Morgan said, well, no, I think give her more credit than that. She says, I think Ashley is going to be gunning for it because she wants Will and herself both to stay. And if she can keep Keanu from winning the blockbuster, then they can send him out the door. So she's saying it's not just about Ashley surviving, it's about Ashley and Will both surviving. So yeah, she's saying give her a little more credit. She's gonna try for it and hopefully win this thing. Morgan is putting the press on Vince that if Keanu does win the blockbuster, to keep Ashley over Will. Because again, Vince had said before, I kind of like Will, and she said, "No, we've already talked about it. You've got to keep Ashley in this game and send Will out the door." She's saying that Ashley can win comps that could potentially help us. She certainly can be a block nominee that would keep one of us from going on the block. She's a bigger target than Will. She's a bit of a shield for us. So for all kinds of reasons, Ashley has to stay this week. She says, on the other hand, Will can't win anything, so he can't really help us out. And if we end up in a chair next to Will, we're probably going out the door. So zero reason to keep Will. Vince, you got to come along with me and keep Ashley when it comes down to it. And I think Vince will. All right, Ashley comes in a little bit later. Vince is still complaining about Kelly lying. They're talking about the possible twists that could happen this evening. They're saying, we don't know what's going to happen, but we need to watch out for each other. That's what it comes down to. Morgan, me, you, Ashley, if we just watch out for each other. They're talking about picking people to go next last week, saying if something like that happens, we've got to make sure we're covered. How does Lauren come into this, Vince? You kind of left her out. I have a feeling he may be watching out for her as well. All right, Keanu. Now here's the deal. Lauren, I was trying to check where normally the HOH can't compete in the next HOH, but I heard some of the people a few times complaining, saying, it's not fair that she gets to do it. So I'm not 100% if Lauren gets to compete or doesn't get to compete. But either way, if there's an extra competition, another hamster wheel or anything like that, Lauren is vulnerable as well. So we'll see how that all hashes out this evening. But Keanu, a little bit later, is talking to Morgan and Vince. He's saying that, look, I've had it with Kelly. She's planning all the see, she's doing all this stuff. He says, I'm gunning for Kelly. If I stay in the house, I am going after Kelly. That's what's going to happen. He says, so Morgan, another good reason for you to keep me. I'm not coming after you or anyone. I'm coming after Kelly, and you don't care. And you want Kelly gone as well. So why wouldn't you keep me? He's saying he doesn't understand why Morgan would keep Ashley over Will. but then turning around wouldn't keep Keanu over Will. He's saying, seems like if you want to keep her for the reasons you explained, why wouldn't I be the same way? So he's just not understanding Morgan's logic on this. Morgan responds by saying, I never said I wouldn't keep you, Keanu. The writing's on the wall. Anyway, she said, I never said I wouldn't keep you, Keanu. So, just consider that. All right. Keanu thinks that Kelly at this point is deliberately trying to sabotage his game. It's not just her having loose lips, that she actually is trying to sabotage his game, which is just making him more angry. Vince is saying that one of the things may be that Kelly is worried that Keanu and Ashley might have a deal. I think it's referencing the two of them may potentially more Ashley than Keanu, promising that if she came off the block, she would vote to serve Keanu, hoping Keanu would do the same thing with her. But Vince is saying, yeah, Kelly's worried that y'all got a deal with each other. Keanu is saying, yeah, no. And if she doesn't even want to vote for me to stay, then yeah, I'm coming for Kelly. I've had it. I'm coming for Kelly. For all kinds of reasons. Morgan is gone for a little while, and Keanu is saying, why doesn't Morgan just make a decision? Tell me she's keeping me. Tell me she's not, whatever. Why will she not just tell me, Vince? No one ever wants that. And Morgan is right. Why tell Keanu that you're not going to keep him if Keanu's going to turn around and win the blockbuster and save himself anyway? Why commit yourself when you don't necessarily have to? There's almost the incentive to say, yeah, I am keeping you. And if he, of course, it's jury management. So, yeah, she's doing what she needs to do. Don't make promises that you get called on, but also don't burn bridges that you don't have to. All right, we've got Vince. He's just had enough. He's finally, everyone's gone for a little bit. I think Keanu went down to use the restroom. Vince is complaining to the cameras. He's saying he's just annoyed with everyone at this point in time. He's saying that he says one thing and everyone in the whole house hears about it almost immediately. He's saying Morgan keeps telling him things that he needs to say to Ashley. He tells her as soon as he tells Ashley, Ashley tells everyone else. And he says, of course, then it gets back to Kelly. And no wonder that now Kelly wants to put me on the block. It's because there's no one keeping their mouth closed in this house. It took you 65 days to figure that out, Vince. But yeah, no one can keep a secret in this house. And he's complaining about that. It's just gossip mill from start to finish. All right, Keanu's back, and he and Vince are continuing the conversation. Keanu is saying that, hey, Morgan and Ashley are in the bathroom talking right now. He's saying, if I get HOH, I am putting up Lauren and Kelly and Ava. We have got to break those three up, Vince. He's saying at this point in time, I'm almost more inclined to target Kelly even more so than Lauren. He said, Kelly just needs to go. I'm fed up with her. Vince is saying that Morgan's a little bit worried. I think hashing back to Morgan not certain or not declaring what she's going to do with Keanu. Vince is saying, look, Morgan's a little bit worried that you may go back to Lauren after this week is over and she's not HOH and doesn't have the power anymore. That you may go back to her just as a vote and all of that. And Keanu saying, I was never with her to start with. I've never been with Lauren. So yeah, that's not going to happen. All right, we've got Morgan and Ashley talking a little bit. Morgan is asking if Ashley would vote out Vince. She's saying, if he was on the block, what would you do? And I think she's kind of prodding around just how loyal Ashley may be, how much they can count on her. Ashley is saying, not now. Yeah, I'm not going to vote him out right now. Somewhere down the road, maybe, but right now, no. And I think that's a legit answer. Morgan is saying that right now, that's good because right now they really need Lauren and Ava or Kelly out. One of those three. Ashley's saying she wants Ava gone. That's who her target is. Morgan is saying that she told Vince that Kelly has to go. Yeah, Morgan is thinking that that Vince would be happy getting Kelly out the door. I know Morgan would be happy getting Lauren out the door. Ashley would be happy getting Ava out the door. The main thing is all three of them, Morgan, Ashley, and Vince, certainly are going to be lining up against Ava and Kelly and Lauren. If Keanu or Will, either one heads out the door, you can kind of see where the battle lines could be drawn, which makes for a very important HOH competition this evening. All right, we've got Morgan and Vince kind of wrapping up the evening. Morgan and Vince talking again. Vince is complaining that Ashley tells everything that he tells her. She just immediately goes and tells the whole house. He says, as a result, no surprise that we would go on the block if Kelly wins HOH. She's heard too much about us complaining about her. Vince is warning Morgan that she needs to be very careful going forward about talking to Ashley, realizing that she doesn't have she can't keep a secret. Vince is telling Morgan that maybe it's time. Just lie to Keanu. Tell him that she's keeping him. Don't go back and forth. Just tell him if he goes, oh, whatever he goes. Well, you do have the jury management to worry about, but he's saying just tell Keanu so he feels better right now. Morgan is talking about winning the HOH, and if that happens, that she's considering, she would certainly consider putting up Ava, Kelly, and Lauren with Keanu as the renom. There's a lot of folks who talked yesterday basically said this is going to be an easy HOH coming up because we know what we're going to do. There's not going to need to be a lot of discussions. Keanu was saying, I'm not going to have any discussions. I know exactly who I'm putting up. There's no decisions to be made, so there's no one-on-ones needed. I just know what I'm going to do. Morgan is basically saying the same thing here, that she knows who she wants to put up. There's more game talk. Mainly they're complaining about the gossip going on in the house. Some brief talk about Lauren. Morgan is asking, talk about Lauren and how she's kind of, alliances and allies and choosing between them and things like that. Morgan finally says, look, let's just promise each other that we exchange all information that we have, that we've got to make sure the communication is here. Let's just promise that we're going to exchange information with each other. Haven't a whole lot of people promise that over and over throughout this season, and it never quite happens. I guarantee there's information that Vince has that will not be shared with Morgan, but she's saying, let's just do that. And Vince is saying, yeah, absolutely. They also talk about the fact that maybe tomorrow, which is now today, let's just talk to each other. Morgan says, Ashley's going to have to figure this out on her own. Let's just talk to each other so we don't have all these people doing this and that we are not spreading stuff that may get back. Let's just stay focused on each other, and Ashley's just going to have to figure out on her own. From there, they move into a little bit late night studying of the days, the comps, who nominated who, vetoes, all the stuff that you may need for a memory competition in preparation for tonight. And there you have it. Everyone in bed by 3 o'clock or so, getting ready for a long day that could be a double in their eyes. I don't think so, but certainly mayhem will be happening yet again. We've been promised, so we shall see how it works out. So in summary, I think the big discussion was Will versus Ashley, and maybe a little bit of flipping from that, from Vince's standpoint, which as a result means that Will is at risk if he doesn't win Blockbuster. He better hope it's a Blockbuster he can compete in, because that's probably his only chance. Well, I say if Ashley wins Blockbuster, then probably Keanu goes home. So Keanu the biggest at risk, Will the next one, Ashley probably safe at this point in time. And then we'll see what happens with HOH. Guys, have a fantastic Thursday. Enjoy the episode tonight. I will be back tomorrow morning to give you an update. Hopefully we get feeds back and we know who HOH is. And if anyone else has bitten the bullet, so to speak, and headed out the door, hopefully we'll get feeds back. Either way, I'll be back tomorrow morning to give you an update. Until then, enjoy the show this evening. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.